Andrew Bell here and checking in for our fortnightly market update. I don't know where in the world is better than the Gold Coast, but I'd be fascinated to know. Have a look now on screen at one of our recent days just after sunrise. Honestly, we've had the most incredible weather for the past 6 weeks or so. Well, I'm always wanting to provide you with some contextual understanding about the real estate market. There are so many bits and pieces that circulate in the news and the media, and they're usually sensationalised, often without any context, and usually generalising across Australia, rather than identifying that all regions do differ, whilst driven mainly by the national fundamentals such as interest rates and the like. But there is a core of what is driving our market today, despite every other factor in the marketplace, such as the economy and interest rates and unemployment and inflation and so on. The core of what is driving the market at present is simply supply and demand. Let's look at the demand. Over the decade from 2011 to 21, there was population growth of approximately 390,000 people per annum. Current modest estimates are that in the next 10 years that will grow to 487,000 per annum. The bulk of that growth will go into capital cities and the immediate areas surrounding them. At present, there are about 30,000 arrivals per month, and what we're starting to learn now is that the world's wealthy are increasingly seeing Australia as the top pick to migrate to. This year, it's forecast that we'll attract more wealthy migrants to Australia than anywhere else in the world, according to Henley and Partners, who are the advisory group to the world's highest net worth citizens. Australia, often seen as a safe haven for global institutional money, is also attracting those looking to settle somewhere safe and enjoyable for them to raise their families or retire. In 2023, 5,200 high net worth individuals are expected to move to Australia, the highest of any country. Further projections for our region is that the growth in population in Queensland will be 1 million people by the time of the 2032 Olympic Games. And whilst not permanent citizens or indeed potentially buyers of real estate, we do note in February there were 140,000 foreign students that returned to Australia for their education. Fortunately, they are also filling incredible demand for hospitality staff in so many businesses. However, these students are also impacting heavily on the demand for rental properties. So from a real estate perspective, there is no shortage of buyers. It is why we are seeing incredible results at our Ray-White auctions, where last weekend, 72% of the 347 auctions across the country sold under the hammer. And of course, most of the others have sold since. There was an increase in the average number of registered bidders. That's risen now to 4.5 per property. And all because we have this incredible demand for real estate from our growing population. People need a roof over their head, despite high interest rates and despite inflation. Now, on the other side of the coin, we have a massive problem with housing construction. Over the past decade, Queensland, on average, built 37,000 new dwellings a year. And whilst that construction number is declining as increasing number of builders go bust and others are choosing not to build to avoid going bust, and also because of our increasing population levels, we need to actually drive dwelling construction up by 20%. But we're not. We're going in the opposite direction. In April this year, was some 30,000 new arrivals, as I mentioned, into Australia, yet nationally, we only started 2,500 dwellings. It's simply compounding the problem. As we look to our governments in power at present, they're simply not addressing the fundamental problem, and that is supply. In relation to our state budget here in Queensland a fortnight ago, there was an announcement of some 500 low-cost homes to be built. 500 is not even a drop in the ocean. The problems are actually not unknown to government. As I mentioned recently, I'm on the board of the Real Estate Institute of Australia, and we're certainly trying to help governments at all levels to identify numerous steps that need to be taken to increase the construction levels, so to provide a supply of properties for both the rental market and the housing market. But you know, the other problem is that the wheels of government are slow. And so for those who may think that this housing crisis will pass quickly, I'm fearful the worst is yet to come. No question the Gold Coast remains at the top of the list of locations that people want to live. And so the sooner people get into the market and most likely they'll have to compromise on their preferred choices of area or their housing type, and certainly the price that they'll have to pay. The sooner they can get in the market, they'll feel at least they have a roof over their head that they own, and they're keeping up with the market growth. So please don't delay is the message I'm trying to give. Trusting wherever you are in the world that life is good. I certainly know how challenging it is for so many people out there, and that yet there is so much to be grateful for, that the more we can focus on the great things in our lives rather than things that are not, the happier that we'll all feel every day. See you in a fortnight's time.